everyone, and welcome to another Camera Jabber video. Today I'm speaking to photographer David Newton, who's had the most fantastic project going on during the lockdown. Hi David, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks Ange. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Now, I've heard a little bit about your project. It sounds really, really good, and you've raised quite a lot of money for charity, haven't you?
I have, yeah. The project, I can't claim the idea of the project as my own. I'd seen a couple of other people doing it. In fact, a friend of mine I saw was doing it in Switzerland, and I jumped on the bandwagon. But in short, it's lockdown doorstep portraits, and I'm sure many of you have probably heard of people doing that. Maybe you've done it yourself. But I thought it seemed like a good thing to do. Obviously, you know, can't really get out and shoot particularly, but I wanted to keep shooting, and it seemed like a nice way of keeping my hand in, maybe meeting some people locally that I otherwise wouldn't meet, shooting the sort of pictures I don't normally do, because I'd never normally shoot families or portrait, like certainly not doorstep portraits or that kind of family portrait. And more importantly, gave me the opportunity to raise some money for the NHS charities together, because I mean, we've all been struggling, but they've been struggling with underfunding and goodness knows what, and they need all the help they can get. And you know, while it's not giving money to the NHS, it's giving money to the carers that work for the NHS to try and improve patient care, to try and help the carers themselves. So yeah, that was kind of the goal, and it began on my street. It began very small. I messaged my street. So I live in southwest London, and we have a WhatsApp group for our street. There's about 100 houses on the street and about maybe 150 people on the WhatsApp group. And I messaged them and I said, who fancies a picture on your doorstep, socially distanced? You know, I'll stay 2 meters away at all times, but I'll take some pictures of you. You're welcome to the files. I'll send you low res. I'll send you high res if you want to print them out. No charge. I just asked for a donation on my Just Giving page. And I got really quite a good response, actually. Quite a few people on my street decided that, yeah, they absolutely wanted to be involved. And I set myself a target of £500 to raise, which I thought was a reasonable target. This was, if you imagine back at the beginning of lockdown, this was the time when Sir Tom, Colonel Tom was, you know, or Major Tom or whatever he is now, was out raising gazillions of pounds. I thought, well, you know, £500, it's £500, it's more than they had. It, you know, I'm not 100 years old. I'm just on my street. It seems like a fun thing to do, and off I went. And all was good for, you know, I did a couple of days shooting. And then 2 people on the street put their pictures that I'd sent them onto Instagram. And we all know the power of social media. A local community group called West Norwood Feast, who are all about like street food and community and bringing the community together to eat in an outdoor community space, but also wrapping in lots of the local restaurants and cafes as well. Saw it, commented on one of the pictures and said, oh, this is amazing, how do we get involved? I was then tagged in the response that said, I'm not really sure, it's just supposed to be our street. To which I felt like I had no other option but to say, well, you know, we could maybe open it up to all of West Norwood if there's appetite for it. So I sent them a couple of collage pictures. And at this point, I'm going to put some pictures up because you've been looking at me for quite a while, and frankly, you're much better off looking at pictures. So I sent them some pictures like this. These aren't necessarily people on my street. I think one of them's a family on my street. So I sent them some pictures, and I said, here you go. If you put it out on your Instagram, we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get some uptake, and you know, I'll expand it to the whole area. And duly, it kind of took off. And that gave me a couple more days. I think I got to, I don't know, maybe 50 or so people by the time I got through the people that come from there. And at that point, it started to spread, probably with a similar R number to COVID, in that I would photograph someone and they would then tell their friends, who tell their friends, who tell their friends. And so I was starting to get messages saying, oh, you photographed friends of ours at you know, whatever road it was. Pictures were lovely. Could you come and photograph us? We'll happily make a donation. So it grew a bit more. I got a few more people. And then maybe about 6 or so weeks ago now, I guess I remember like middle of May, I had like 7 people booked on a Saturday. I was trying to do it on weekends, mostly because I still had bits and pieces of work during the week. And also I didn't want to just do you know, one person a day, because that seemed like a big waste of time that I wasn't actually doing much else with. But, you know, I wanted to try and block people together. So I was booking out the weekends, and I had a Saturday where I had maybe 7 people booked. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do 7, I may as well try and do a few more as well. So there's a local Facebook group called West Norwood Local, which has many thousands of members. I thought, well, I'll put it out on there, and, you know, maybe I'll get another 5 or 10 people, and that'll be great. That'll fill my Saturday, and raise a bit more money. It was a Thursday morning, and I put a post up. I shared a couple of pictures, and I said, who wants pictures locally? I'm a pro photographer, filmmaker. I will come to your house. I will take pictures at your doorstep of you, and you're welcome to the pictures. Just make the donation, and we're good to go. And here are the slots for Saturday. So I've already got these bookings, so we can start at 9:30 in the morning. And, you know, you've got 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12. So every 30 minutes, here are the available slots. Take your pick. Send me a direct message. And Julie, people started sending me direct messages, and within 10 minutes, I'd filled Saturday. 10 minutes later, I'd filled Sunday. I was like, okay, everyone, just like chill out a little bit, back up. And I opened up Friday. I said, right, okay, overwhelming response. Here's Friday slots again, starting at 9:30. 10 minutes later, I'd filled Friday. I had 48 people booked over 3 days.
Wow.
With 30-minute slots, basically starting at 9:30 every morning, every 30 minutes, not even a break for lunch. I just took food with me on the go, and would just turn up at house, set up, take pictures, break down, go again, on to the next one. Now, I was not just turning up with the camera. I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'll try and do it nicely. I'll try and just not get snaps. I'll try and light these things. I'm a big fan of lighting. I'm a big fan of flash. I use Speedlight Flash a lot. I use a lot of Lasterlight kit. So I packed my kit into like a fairly portable kit. A couple of light stands. I had an Octabox with me, a medium-sized Octabox. I had a 1.5 meter skylight panel. I'll explain why in a minute. And some speedlights. And everything was shot on a 70-200. So I was using an EOS R and a 70-200. And basically I would turn up. If people were in shade, I'd put an Octabox up to light them so that I had a bit more even light on their face. If they were in bright sun, because obviously I couldn't control where they were, their front door was their front door, and whatever time they'd booked in, it happened so quickly I didn't get time to go, oh, well, you should really be at this time when you're in shade, and you should be at that time when you're in shade. And equally, I didn't have time to map them out to make my journey as short as possible. So I ended up like crisscrossing the town. It was not like a lovely, logical kind of transition around. I was all over the shop. Anyway, so I would turn up. They'd either get Octabox or they'd get a 1.5 meter skylight panel and an Octabox, make the front of their house look like a bit of a film set, and take the pictures. So I did the 48 that weekend. Again, it continued to spread by word of mouth, and it grew and grew and grew, and I ended up doing more and more weekends, and then I ended up doing some weekdays as well. And I kind of, as lockdown hadn't started to ease, but officially, but there was a point maybe a few weeks back where people were starting to get a bit tired of lockdown. People were starting to venture out a bit more, and it became just a little bit harder to try and get people, instead of being able to say you're at 12:30 on this day, they go, oh no, we're going out to see our family, or we're taking the kids out for a walk, or the kids are going to be napping at that time, or it just became a little bit logistically more challenging. So I started to back it down, kind of draw a line under it, and I ended up with about 157 doorsteps done, which is quite a lot. But yeah, the more exciting thing about it was that the whole goal of this was to try and raise money for the NHS. And as of right now, I'm at £5,595 raised.
Wow.
So, what is that, 11 times beyond my original target? It's still not Captain Colonel Sir Tom. But, I was quite happy. In fact, in April, so I started this in April. I did the last 2 weeks in April. And at the end of April, I got a message from Just Giving telling me I was in the top 5% of all fundraisers for that month.
Wow.
Which was quite a surprise.
Yeah,
I was
congratulations.
obviously everyone was in lockdown and no one was actually raising any money, so it was a top 5% of obviously not many people, but yeah, that was
That's
quite
a great
nice,
achievement.
and actually it kind of spurred me on a little bit to try and keep going. And from there, I guess maybe naively, when I started, I had no idea about what I would do with the pictures. There was never any goal for that. The whole goal was get people some pictures, meet a few people on my street, and raise money predominantly for the NHS charities together. But people were asking, and they were saying, "Do you know, Dave, we'd love to see these pictures. What are you doing with them afterwards?" I don't know. You're getting them to do what you want with them. It's up to you. But as the questions kept coming, I thought, well, maybe I should try and do something with this. So people were saying we'd like to see an exhibition. So now I'm working on the idea of an exhibition plan. And what I'm trying to do, this has been quite a community pulling together, where, you know, a lot of people have seen their friends who they've not been able to see, but they've seen pictures of their friends because they've been sharing them on social media. So it's kind of helped pull the community together. I decided I wanted to kind of grow on that, or take that idea and give it a bit more of a push. So the idea now is to have an exhibition a bit later in the year, but have the exhibition in what are essentially local community spaces. So local shops down the high street, because, you know, the big stores, the chain stores that we've got on the high street, that, you know, the big supermarkets, they've stayed open. And the staff there have been fantastic. But fundamentally, those stores with their big central budgets, they've not been hit badly at all. They've done very well out of this. Online shopping's boomed and so on and so forth. And, you know, their stock price, if you want, has gone through the roof. So those chains don't need support, but the locally owned community shops do, because they've all been shut down for however long. And yeah, they've got some money from the government, you know, rate relief or whatever it is, but still they've not had the community in there. And also, I think as lockdown eases, we're going to see that people are going to be a little bit reticent of going into shops, because, you know, they're in the habit now of popping in, grabbing what they need and getting out, and maybe not spending time to really chat or communicate with the community. And so what I want to do, and I'm in touch with the local business support group, I'm trying to arrange to have an exhibition maybe September, October time, because that's when it feels like the shops may be a bit more open. And the images will be hosted within the local shops. So hopefully what will happen is, instead of Joe Blogs going into Sainsbury's or Costa to buy their bread or their coffee, they'll go into the locally owned bakery and buy their bread there, and they'll go into one of the local cafes and get a coffee there, and hopefully put a bit of money back into the local community shops. And I'm hoping that's going to then bring the community together. And further on from that, I'm actually going to photograph. I say I'm pretty much done with photography, but I plan to photograph some of the shopkeepers over the coming weeks. I'm just trying to arrange times when it's all going to work, so that I've got buy-in from them. And also, if you think of all the pictures of old high streets where you've got like the butcher standing outside his shop, it would be like a nice snapshot of this time of what the high street looks like right now. And maybe in 100 years time, that becomes like a little valuable archive of, you know, here's H&M Meats and the butchers that work in there, and here's Blackbird Bakery and the bakers that work in there, and so on and so forth. And also it will get their buy-in. If they've been photographed, they're going to be more willing to have pictures in the shop. And then the stage beyond that is that I've kind of figured, if I'm going to do an exhibition, I should probably do a book as well, with 157 households plus however many shops I can get done. I've certainly got enough pictures. And so my plan is to try and do a nice coffee table book that will then be for sale in each of the shops. And there's a local gallery called the Portico Gallery, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get some space in there as well. They're all about community art, so it seems like it's going to fit nicely. We just need to work out the timings. But the book will be for sale, and then the profits from that, the idea I'm juggling at the moment is that the profits are going to get split between, some of it goes to the shop that's sold the book, and some of it goes onto that Just Giving to the NHS charities together. So it helps boost that, and hopefully maybe gets me beyond 6,000 or more, but also gives a bit of money to the local shops as well. I'm also saying I've pretty much finished. You may notice as I'm going through these pictures that there's some diversity, but there's not a huge amount of diversity. And I think partly that's maybe the platforms I've used to try and reach people. So I'm also working maybe on trying to get a day where I'm going to try and increase the diversity so that it's a bit more representative of the local area.
Yeah.
Because, you know, this area, West Norwood, is incredibly multicultural. And I've reached some diversity, but not anywhere near that's representative of the area. And I'd very much like, if it's a community project, I feel it should be representative of the local area. So I'm at the moment trying to figure out ways of getting into some of those communities as well, to try and get them involved too. And actually, while I've got this picture up, apart from doing the doorstep portraits, sometimes where there's been cute kids, you know, there's been a lot of families. It's oftentimes been families. If there's been children that have been willing to be photographed on their own, then I've often taken the opportunity to grab a few snapshots of the children as well, which is like a little extra benefit for the parents. They've not just got a nice family shot, but maybe they've got a lovely portrait of their child as well, which they, you know, maybe want to print. And I've had a few people that have then asked for prints off the back of it, which I was delivering over the last couple of days. So it's been quite a small project initially, that's grown and ballooned. It's given me a very interesting lockdown. In fact, it's given me a unique lockdown, because where everyone else has been stuck at home, I've actually been meeting people, socially distanced, and meeting people I would never otherwise have met. And I guess from a business perspective, most of my business is international. I don't have a local business. I'm normally off traveling the world, but I don't really know when that's going to be happening again, because, you know, travel is going to be a challenge for quite a while. And this has introduced me to lots of people, and you know, someone cynically may go, oh, well, it's just a marketing exercise. Well, if it's a marketing exercise, it was, you know, I've done about 14, 15 days of solid days taking pictures. It's a hell of a lot of legwork. But as I say, it has introduced me to people, and nothing has come of it yet, but maybe in the future, you know, you never know, that the door you knock on might be another job that comes down the line that helps build the local business that maybe is going to support me in the future if my international business has to change for a while because of COVID. So it's been multifaceted. It's been great fun. It's been very interesting talking to people about the community. I've had so many people say, oh, you know, our street's amazing. We're such a community street. We have our own WhatsApp group. And I've had to go, well, it's actually seemingly really common in this area. And I don't know about other parts of the country, but almost every street I've been to, people have told me that they have a WhatsApp group for their street, or they even have their own Facebook page for their street. So I've learned a lot about the local community, people willing to help, people willing to get involved. And despite the really tough times of, you know, financial uncertainty and people furloughed and out of work, people have been willing to donate, and that's been a really lovely thing to discover. So yeah, there we go. That's been the project, something like a little acorn that kind of grew and took on a life of its own, and is actually still growing, and, you know, we'll see where it goes next.
Oh, fantastic. Did you find that, you know, photographing your community, photographing your street, that it did kind of bring people together just in the street a bit more? I mean, certainly, you know, on the Thursday night clap for carers, people that I hadn't necessarily spoken to, you're suddenly waving to down the street, and you have a chat with them and stuff. Did you find that happening in your street?
Well, I'd say yes, but we actually have quite a tight-knit street anyway. So our WhatsApp group is active every day, to the point that actually quite a few people I spoke to say they just mute our WhatsApp group because it's so busy with, you know, it's used for all sorts of things. Yeah. Predominantly it's, oh, I'm getting rid of this teapot or these dolls, or, you know, does anyone want them? Or there's this printer going, who wants, or a monitor, or goodness knows what. But also arranging, you know, we normally have a summer street party. We've obviously been doing the clap for carers on the Thursday evenings. So we're quite a tight-knit street anyway, but certainly there are some people that aren't on the group that have now met, we had a socially distanced street party in the middle of lockdown where, you know, everyone basically stood at the front of their houses and brought drinks, and I guess a bit like our Friday evening drinks.
Yeah.
We were, you know, everyone stood at the front and had drinks, and kids played in the front gardens of their own independent houses before anyone gets the idea they were in each other's houses.
Yeah.
So we're quite a tight-knit group, but yes, I think it's certainly helped that. And from my perspective, I've been, you know, I'm historically nomadic. I've never lived in any one area for a particularly long time. I love to move around. I'm normally traveling quite a lot, so I don't feel like I ever particularly have roots anywhere, hence why I don't really have a local business. But this now, I've met so many people, I'm pretty much the most known person on the street now. So I walk down the street, everybody knows me, everyone says hello. I go around West Norwood, I bump into people that I photograph, which for me is so uncommon, because normally, you know, I could move around totally anonymously. I've walked down the street and someone's going, "Oh, you're the doorstep portrait guy, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah, it's Dave, but doorstep portrait guy does, so, you know, that'll work." So yeah, it has, for me personally, it's put me into the community more. And yeah, I think it has helped bring the community together a little bit more. People have been sharing their pictures, people have been talking about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's certainly been a nice community aspect to it that I'm hoping is going to, as I said before, continue with exhibition and book and whatever comes after that.
Oh, that's really nice. Did you actually make any suggestions to people about the type of clothing that they wore or anything like that? I mean, most people in it look kind of, well, I'd say quite smart casual. They look
most people are smart casual.
Portraits.
I said to people, you can be whatever you want. You know, if you want to get dressed up, if you want, I said to people, if you need a new like corporate portrait, I'll do you a corporate portrait at your front door, whatever you want. You know, I'll turn up and take the pictures and off we go. And some people dressed up. I had one family where the daughter she does a lot of theatre. She's only, I'm going to say 6 or 7. She does a lot of theatre. And when I turned up, she just finished her theatre class. So she was all dressed up like, my Frozen knowledge is terrible, but I'm going to say Elsa. It might have been Elsa. It might have been Anna. Like, I really don't know. One of them. But then the dad was in a velour tracksuit. The mum was dressed up. They had sunglasses. They were all wearing their slider flip-flops. So they dressed up. I photographed a lawyer. So there was one family down on the other side of town. The lady was a lawyer, and she said, I'm wearing my lockdown attire, which is a smart blouse and a suit jacket and my bright leggings, because this is how I've been conducting my court cases. I sit at Zoom and no one can see my bottom half. So
fantastic.
I mean, just like now, no, you can't see my bottom half. I'm not completely naked. Don't worry about that.
That's a relief.
But no, so she was wearing these super bright leggings, and her husband had been doing a lot of cooking, so he was holding a Le Creuset pot. They had a new dog, so the dog was in the picture. And then they had 2 children, and one of them was holding some artwork they'd been doing, and the other one was holding a cricket bat because they'd been playing cricket in the garden. So yeah, some people got dressed up, some people just turned up as they were. It was a real cross section of what people wanted. I had one lady said to me, family was there, and they said, "Oh, I'm starting a new business. Do you do corporate portraits? Would you do like headshot portraits?" I said, "Yeah, of course I would. Not a problem. In fact, how do you want to look? Do you need to look super corporate-y, or do you want to be like the smart casual that you are now?" She said, "No, smart casual's fine." I was like, "Brilliant, stand there." I took 5 pictures of her. I said, "Do they work?" She said, "Perfect, brilliant." So she got her family picture, and she got a corporate headshot picture, and then her children, her 2 girls, were so super cute. I'm wondering if I can find them quickly. Actually, her 2 girls were so cute that I then took a couple of pictures of them as well. It was the 2 down here in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh yes, they are cute.
So they were super cute, so playful. So as a family, they got a lovely family portrait. The mother got a new corporate headshot ready for her new business venture, and they got some cute kid pictures as well, which they can share with the.
I love the one of the younger girl in the middle left as well. That's very cute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looks like she's mid-giggle.
Yeah, absolutely. She was so full of character, that little girl. Such a great smile.
Oh, lovely. When you start photographing the shops, are you going to go back a bit further, so you shoot a bit wider, so you've got the
Yeah,
shop?
I'll probably shoot on a wider lens and come back a bit, so I get the shop front. I mean, I'll probably do both. In fact, what I found for most people, I tended to shoot like everyone got full length. They got a close crop, like a mid shot, and they've got both of those, or they certainly got a full length vertical, so portrait shape. Then they got a close in both vertical and horizontal. And as I said to people, I wasn't just sending them one picture. So most people got sent between 5 and 15 shots. And I sent them out by WhatsApp in low res and said, you know, these are perfect for sharing on WhatsApp or putting on social media or sending to the grandparents or whatever you want. But if you want the high res to print, either get in touch with me and I'll do the prints, or here's my private link on my website. You can download them from there, or I'll send you a Dropbox link with the files, you know, whatever works best for you. But yeah, people were getting between, you know, I guess 5 and 15 shots of a variety of different compositions, so that they could pick and choose what worked for them. I also didn't do any editing, so none of those pictures were edited. They were just how they came out of the camera. Because when they're, you know, when there's that many pictures, I'd still be editing now, trying to get through them all.
Yeah.
You know, when you're taking family portraits like that, for anyone that's done it, you don't take one picture and move on. You know, although they were getting 5 to 15, I was probably taking, I don't know, but maybe up to 30 or 40 pictures per family, because, you know, you try and get everyone to look at you, and then the parents look at the children to tell the children to look at the camera, but then you've got the kids looking at the camera and the parents looking at the children, and you know, trying to get everyone looking at the same thing. And then the dog walks out. And so I took a lot of pictures just to try and get everything, you know, get everyone looking in the right direction. What I actually found was the pictures I preferred the most were the ones where there was interaction. So the parents were looking at each other, or the kids were looking at each other, or looking at the parents. As I say, this was not my normal sort of photography. Technically, I'm perfectly capable of doing it, but there was a bit of a learning experience for me in what sort of pictures worked the best. And also when I came to edit, quote unquote edit, when I came to look at all the pictures and pick out the good ones, I found myself, you know, normally my landscapes or travel or corporate stuff or sport or whatever, I look at the pictures and I'm like, okay, I'm quite happy with that, but I'm fairly even keeled. But I found myself looking at these pictures and just smiling uncontrollably because of the smiles and the joy that were in the pictures, despite the challenging circumstances. They engendered a sense of happiness in me whilst I was editing, which was fantastic. That was a really lovely experience for me as well.
Yeah, it was the happiness of the images that really struck me as well, actually, while you were going through them. Everybody was smiling, and it seemed like everyone was obviously going through a tricky time, but actually really appreciating their family units. And so,
yes,
you know, being
very much so.
Happy to
you know,
share.
I talked to people as the idea for exhibition and book kind of developed. I then started telling people at the time I was photographing them that this might happen. Just so that if they absolutely didn't want to be involved, they could tell me at that point, and that was fine. I could then not put those pictures anywhere, and that would be that. But I was just kind of letting people know that may be somewhere down the line in the future. And I said to everyone, I'll probably, when it happens, 1, I'll get in touch with you again to make sure you're happy to be involved still. 2, I'll probably tell you which pictures I plan to use, because I'll pick the ones I like, but you may go, God, I look horrible in that one. What on earth are you thinking? And that incidentally was a reason why I didn't do a lot of editing, because, you know, my idea of what looks good in a picture could be completely different to what they think they look good in the picture. So I was deliberately giving people more pictures that they could then choose from. So I was telling people, you know, everyone seemed unanimously happy about the idea. And I said I'd get in touch with them and ask them probably for a quote, or I will ask them a question. And I started testing a few questions as I was taking pictures. So, you know, what's been the best thing about lockdown, or what are you going to miss most about lockdown when it's over, type thing, to try and get people thinking about it in a positive way, because there's obviously so much negativity, and you spend any time online You know, there's a lot of negativity around COVID, and then you've got all the conspiracy theorists, and then it's just all tumultuous noise. And I wanted to try and get people to think positively about it as well, and have hopefully a good experience being photographed, but also give them actually, having 2 meals a day as a family unit is way better than having 2 meals a week as a family unit. Oh, the communication we've had, you know, the dads or the mums that are normally out at work and they drop their kids off at childminders in the morning and pick them up in the evening. I've spent this time with my children and I'm watching them grow in front of my eyes, and it's not time I'm missing out on. I'm really valuing the time that I'm having as a family unit. And yeah, I'd love to get back to work and be doing that as well. But at the same time, this is super valuable. And I do wonder, from some of the conversations I've had, I do wonder if we're going to see a bit of a change in society of how people work, how people are willing to work. Are they going to be willing to still get up at 5:30 in the morning to commute into the city, to spend all day, you know, prairie dogging in a little cubicle, to then go home and have an hour with their kids before the kids go to bed? Or are they going to be looking for ways to try and work from home a bit more, to try and spend a bit more time with kids? Even if they still have to go to the office, are we going to see people valuing family time on weekends more because they've remembered what this experience has been like and how valuable it's been, and they don't necessarily want to go back to having none of that at all? So
yeah,
I think
going on those family walks and things like that, you know, you've got your hour a day, so go as a family. I think that's been quite valuable for a lot of people.
Yeah, as I say, I'm hoping that's going to go forwards.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, David, is there anywhere that people could actually see the images online at the moment?
Not at the moment, because I'm trying to keep them closed and quiet, ready for the exhibition, whenever that's going to be. But as and when they're more visible, I will let you know.
Okay, and we'll post a link, but we will put a link to your fundraising.
Please do. Yes, well. Just Giving. Yeah. Yes, I know I can't come and photograph you all, but should any of you wish to donate, please do. Every little helps. I actually I had a corporate donation from. So my fiance works for an American software company, and they have a very good CSR, corporate social responsibility. Sort of the company's called Cooper. It's Cooper Cares, and she messaged them and said, "Oh, my fiance is doing this. Would you be willing to put some money in?" And they, American company, they put in $500 as a donation, which was really nice. And it came, you know, I said I started off looking for £500, and then it was, I'll try and get 1,000, and I just kept lifting the limit as I kept getting close. And then I was at I was about 4,400. I was like, oh, maybe I can get to 5,000. And then, you know, they came in with that donation, and it gave me that lovely springboard up close to 5,000. And then I managed to tumble over with the next few donations.
Yeah.
So
the
that
next
was really
target
lovely.
is 6,000.
Exactly. The next, I'm at 5,595 at the moment. The next target is 6. I do actually think there's a couple more. I photographed a couple of people from, I think, UNICEF, and I think it was UNICEF. Maybe there was another company, but they messaged me and said the company I work for does donation matching. So anything I donate, they'll match. So I don't know if that's gone through the system yet or not, quite how that works, but I'm expecting a couple of those donations will get doubled, which will
fabulous.
give me another little bit of a boost. Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. Well done with the project. I mean, you've got some fantastic photos and you've raised a great amount of money. I really wish you every success with the next stage, getting the shops photographed, increasing the diversity, putting the exhibition together and doing the book. You're going to be busy.
It's going to be busy and fun.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks very much for speaking to me today.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on. Bye-bye.
Bye.